Alright, we will start here shortly. Or we will start here as soon as I figure out the best way to make sure that I've got audio gain right. Try this. That's a little too much. Here we go. There we go. Alright, sorry about that. Still got a new mic set up I'm still trying to get used to. Alright, so what this is going to be is every so often I go ahead and take a look at pay what you want and free role-playing games from Drive-Thru RPG generally. And what I will be doing as soon as I can is to start posting links and starting. And it's been a while since I've done one of these, but it's been a little weird in terms of like free / pay what you want stuff. There's been a lot of quick starters or type stuff coming out, but I rarely cover those. And in terms of the other pay what you want stuff, mostly it's actually been a lot less than it has of late in terms of titles coming out of that. So it's been a little bit longer than I last than it was before, since my last one, in other words. And I may be a little bit rambling because I'm setting up the links so I can post them in chat when ready. Hold on a second. Okay, just getting that set up. Alright, so tonight I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have about a dozen of them. That seems about right, give or take, for each month. I get between 10 and 13 of them each month. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of them. Looks like I've got 3 5th edition titles, 4 OSR titles, and then 5 miscellaneous / other titles. So we'll start with the 5th edition stuff, because just mostly because it's first in my list. Alright, the first one is called The Blood Battles, your favorite combat video game in 5th edition. And it is, let's go in here, it is an adaptation of the world's most brutal and bloody combat with a K video game into 5th edition. So this one should be amusing. Includes 5 battle maps, inspire the most classic video game locations for your virtual tabletop. I did not download the virtual tabletop file, so we will be looking only at the PDF itself. And it is from Steam Pop Games. I will put a link here in a moment. Let me get this fit to width real quick, just so. No, let's fit one full page, just so we can see the title. It is a 5th edition homebrew. I will put the links in the description, or the links in the chat. I will eventually put the links in the description, but right now they're in the chat. So let's see, The Blood Battles. This is basically Mortal Kombat for 5th edition. It's a 19-page adventure. Let's go fit to width again so I can actually read it. Blood Battles is an adventure 5th edition of the world's best role-playing game. That's debatable. It's the world's most popular role-playing game because of marketing, but whether it's the best or not is now debatable. It contains a set of rules to adapt the experience of the bloodiest video game ever, which again is debatable, into 5th edition for a party of 1 to 3 players of levels 5 to 8. So enough to give them some punch, you know. In this adventure, the party receives an invitation to participate in Blood Battle, a special tournament created by the Emperor Sun Yang to discover the best warrior in the world. The prize becomes Sun Yang's most trusted general and command the biggest army in the world, because everybody knows that physical personal combat is the way to pick your generals. So you get 5 stages. Get that evil surprise that Sun Yang's army is actually a legion of demons. So yeah, it's basically Mortal Kombat again. This adventure uses several special rules that add flavor. Let's see what the special rules do. We are providing two sets of rules, Normal and Nightmare. These are completely optional, and you can use both sets of rules at the same time. Otherwise, you can just cherry pick whatever rules you want, etc., etc. Of course you can, because it's a tabletop game. Normal rules, bloodier combat. All natural rolls of 19 and 20 are critical hits. Characters' abilities that already grant this rule allow you to crit an even lower number. So that's interesting. Better crits, basically. Gruesome damage. Instead of doubling the dice rolled for critical hits, triple the dice used. So you can pump it up even more like that. The Equalizer. At the start of each round, all contestants drink a special potion that sets their maximum health to a fixed amount. Set that amount in case you want the battles to finish quicker or last longer. As a recommendation, try setting the hit point maximum to 50. So basically turning it into a tournament fighter. All sources of healing are halved during combat. All spells and abilities that heal 1 hit point or not halved. So halved, but minimum 1. If a character rolls a natural 20, in addition to the critical hit, they'll be able to perform an additional attack of their choice. So more crits, and if they can crit, then you can like air juggle them or whatever. When the contestant reaches 0 hit points, they will stumble and lose consciousness, but they will remain standing for 1 round before falling to the ground. While in this state, they cannot move or perform any actions. Other teammates can heal them regularly. After 1 round, at death's door, a character will fall to the ground dead. They cannot be healed or resurrected by the characters. So at death's door is basically like... Oh, no, other teammates can heal them regularly. So this is a team-based rather than one-on-one. Sung Yang's Pact. Any character that dies on the battlefield is removed after the match ends and taken to the dungeons of the castle. There, Sung Yang will communicate with their souls, staying lingering in the material plane, and offer a cruel pact. They can get revived and have 1 last chance at the tournament. However, should they fail, they will become Sun Yang's undead thralls for all eternity. If they accept, Sun Yang will revive them, if their team had failed in the last matchup, they can retry the stage only if everyone is resurrected in this way. Sung Yang will cast a spell to reverse time and place the contestants at the beginning of their failed stage so they can attempt to defeat their opponents once more. So, yeah, basically tournament fighter, or a in-character reason to have a tournament fighter. And will only offer this deal once per contestant. Alright. Finishing moves. When creating your character, choose a signature finishing move from the list below or come up with your own. Finishing moves do not deal damage. Instead, they provide a flavorful way to dispose of your opponent and impress the crowd. When the contestants at death's door, any other character can take 1 action and perform their finishing move with them. Roll 1d20. On a result of 10 or more, your character performs their finishing move, obliterating the opponent. This move kills the opponent right away. Pity you don't have to, like, punch in like a key code, huh? Sorry, I'm taking a couple notes here. Anyway, let's continue onward. You get a random finishing move list, which is just Mortal Kombat moves. Yes, those are just fatalities. You use your sword to deliver a flurry of blows, cutting your opponent to shreds. You grab your opponent's entire torso and remove it from the waist, throwing it into the crowd. Yeah, pretty much over-the-top Mortal Kombat stuff. Nightmare rules. Total obliteration. All weapons deal their maximum damage all the time. There's no need to roll for damage. That's brutal. That is brutal. Cursed Grounds 2. Healing does not work during the combat. Contestants cannot gain hit points in any way. I don't know if that's as brutal, just because if it's like a quick combat, you've got minimum healing anyway. Starting the Ranger backstory, you got a backstory where Sung Yang is leading an army from the underworld. Story hooks, you got your invitation, various invitations that bring you. You got your letter. My most esteemed warriors, Emperor Sung Yang, the all-powerful, has been watching you for a long time, and he deems you worthy of entering his exclusive tournament to find the best warrior in the whole world. Were you to enter and win, you'd be treated as kings and queens for the rest of your lives. If you're interested, burn this letter at midnight and you'll receive further instructions. So it's just basically ways to get them to it. Including the kidnapped and you have to fight. I haven't played Mortal Kombat since, like, the Super Nintendo days. I guarantee you a couple of my players are going to, like, recommend I try a newer version. But you never know. I don't know. I may have to try some of the modern ones. What are they up to now? Like 12, 11, 12, something like that. Let me ask. My resident fighter specialist, Riddy, who is also an author, by the way. But he has a thing for tournament fighters, so I'm just asking him what they're up to. Call me clueless. I don't do fighter games. I'm sorry. All right. Tournament begins. All contestants get the following information. Battles will be between 2 groups of fighters each. Consists of 5 rounds, each on a different place. They're free to roam the castle grounds, but should not interact with each other. So you do have opportunities to role play on the island. All participants are marked with a magical run. Editor, where are you? Magical rune on their backs, identifying them as such. But also the marks are set to explode if they abandon the castle grounds. Okay, that's a nice but also. Participants will get their own runes, but they're not supposed to abandon them during the night. Do 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, or 3 versus 3 battles if your group prefers so. Okay. Test your might. Got to get that Mortal Kombat announcer stuff going. Before the tournament, the special strength contest will be held. 5 different... So, there's like the breaking piles of plaques of different materials. So there's the mini game. Strength athletics check versus various materials. What's the reward? What is the reward? Sorry, what is the reward? The winner of the tournament can claim... What do you mean the winner of the tournament? So the winner of the mini game, not the whole tournament, can claim 2 potions of healing and a special trophy, declaring them the mightiest contestant of all. Okay. Having finished the strength contest, you get a special board and get to know your matchups. There's a collection of contestants with a K of your NPCs for your party to fight. This adventure seems like it would be super goofy, but it also seems like it could easily be worked into an ongoing campaign if you want to like take a night or 2 off, basically. As the fights become more and more violent, the ground itself starts reacting to the blood being spilled. Anytime the contestants roll a critical hit, add 1 point to their bloodlust counter. Each of the stages uses bloodlust points to trigger special effects. So you get like background arena effects from that. Okay. Let's take a look. Each of these is a courtyard. They get a special rule, get a description, a special rule. So the first one gives you inspiration when you get 3 bloodlust points. Second one, on a critical hit, the hit also pushes the victim 15 foot in a straight line towards the acid pool. So you can knock them off into acid. For every bloodlust point, the bridge starts to shake and fall to the acid pool. Remove 3 squares from both ends of the bridge. Okay, so that's actually a neat way. I got, like, this, let's be straight up. This adventure is goofy. There's no way to sugarcoat that, right? So, apparently, so there's 11 of them. Okay, I got to take a look, man. I got to take a look at, like, the Mortal Kombat series. I haven't looked at it since, like, Super Nintendo days. This adventure is straight up goofy, but these arena rules are actually kind of inspiring. The trees in this forest have been alive for thousands of years. Each bloodlust point, the trees in the area get more and more vicious, attacking anyone who gets close enough to their reach. So you get ancient undead trees that reach out to smack you around while you're fighting. Stage 4. Every 3 bloodlust points, one of the statues comes to life and attacks the closest contestant. Use any of the contestant profiles in Appendix A, Contestants, with a K. And then Spiked Bridge on Stage 5. On a critical hit, the contestants near the edge of the bridge. 1 hit pushes them to the spiked pit. And that character dies on impact. Period. No save, no response. You are dead. Do not pass go. For every bloodlust point, remove 3 squares from both edges of the bridge. Okay, just like the prior bridge. So that's basically like your palette swap arena hazard. The last battle. So you just basically fight Sung Yang at the last fight. So what happens if you try to escape? And if you say yes to his proposal, like if you win... Hold on, give me a minute. Alright. The last battle. If you win Stage 5, Sun Yang and a cohort of his most trusted advisors monks will appear and congratulate them. They can only be one grand champion and informs them that the last fight will take place the next morning. So you can have the entire party agree and fight each other to the death and go like the evil way and join with Sun Yang. Or you can reject them and potentially have to be hunted by every monk of the castle. So then, okay, so they can decide to actually take over the world with Sun Yang. Or they can try to escape. Alright. If the adventurers enter the castle's dungeon without good reason, they'll soon learn gore as a creature of few words. Do they have, like, art of this stuff? There's the game over. This is basically a tournament fighter. They don't have any art. I'm actually disappointed that they don't even have, like, just scrawled art. They got battle maps, though. So these are just your arena maps. And yeah, I mean, I haven't played Mortal Kombat since, like, SNES days, but these look like tournament fighter maps. They're just arenas. All I'm going to do is look at the contestants next. There's the warrior statues. I could see these as a backdrop, like you're looking, like the camera's over here, and then the back of the stage is over here, but stop clicking on that. Like the back of the stage is up here. Yeah, I could see these as fighter arenas. Get the saw blades that come up, yeah. Alright. Well, let's take a look at the combatants before I switch to the next one. Yeah, these look very much like just XPs of Mortal Kombat characters. The Cold One. Innate spellcasting, he gets Ice Knife, Chill Touch, Ray of Frost, and just does unarmed strikes that do cold damage. Scorpius. Underworld teleportation, can teleport up to 30 feet. You get unarmed strike, and then come closer, because come here is like just too obvious. Piercing, and then you drag them to you. So Scorpion, basically. Tobias. Shadow spellcasting. He just got shadow teleportation, and then unarmed strikes, of course. Tempest. As I said, I'm not familiar with a lot of the Mortal Kombat stuff, but I think, is this like Raiden or Raiden or whatever? Elemental spellcasting, you got Lightning Lure, Witch Bolt, and Elemental Weapon. Isn't Lightning Lure like relatively new? Lightning Push. You can push them away, which can be useful on those bridge-based arenas. There's no teleport, though. Get the Reptilian. You get Poisonous Spray and Invisibility. Poison Darts is his ranged weapon. I'm like moderately disappointed that they don't all have ranged attacks. The Superstar. Do I even want to know? The Superstar. His special attack is the Spread Eagle. If the Superstar takes a disengage action before resolving it, he can make an unarmed strike attack. If it hits, the target becomes incapacitated for 1 round. That's got to be what? Johnny Cage? Wait. Am I thinking the right thing? That's got to be the right character. As I said, I haven't played it for a very long time. Yeah, these are basically XPs of Mortal Kombat characters. That's funny. That's just straight up funny. All right, I'm on to the next one. That's enough of playing around with that one. That was the Blood Battles. I put the link in the chat. What's next on the to-do list here? City of Nightmares, a 5th edition compatible horror one-shot. This should be interesting. This may be a longer one, and so I won't look completely through it. City of Nightmares. Is this also from Steam Pop Games? Yeah, it's from the same people. Okay. It's from the same people. It is a system-agnostic psychological horror adventure. The adventurers are trapped in a city where townsfolk are going hollow, almost zombie-like creatures neither awake or asleep. It's up to the party to solve the mystery of what's happening. The piece of the elm suffered this fate. Wait, is this supposed to be Bloodborne? Like, I'm actually kind of working on a Bloodborne-based adventure. I've got notes for a Dark Souls-based adventure as well. I need to, like, flesh them out and actually try to run them. So that would be just awesome. So let's take a look at City of Nightmares. Once again, I'll pop it up towards the full page. And let me know if my audio is coming through odd. I'll take a look. It seems to be coming through all right. I had to redo like my entire setup here last week. And I've got a set now. I've got a proper set, like a proper set where I can have a desk and I can do my RPG News Roundup and look better than just with this stuff behind me. But it's not quite there yet. I still got to make a few adjustments, and I'm basically waiting for a few more things to come in. It's not fancy. It's not fancy. It's just a desk with a camera, some lighting, and some proper lighting and stuff. But I got to up my game there, and I'll probably try to get like some motion graphics and such for the transitions on it too. Welcome to the 20-minute prep adventure. So, in order to cut prep time, I'll write down only what's truly important, which is a good idea. Hey, your adventure has no big dungeons. Besides preferring narrative adventures, I find heavy dungeon crawling to be slow and time-consuming to prepare. It is. I, on the other hand, love dungeon crawling, but I will admit that a good dungeon crawl is somewhat slower to prepare. Unless you're doing like on-the-fly stuff similar to old school. That's a little bit harder with 5th edition. Not as hard as it was in 3rd or 4th, but it's a little bit harder to do that with 5th edition than it was with old school stuff. Actually, I had an issue with that. I'm running, it's kind of like a hex crawl 5th edition game, and I'm trying to use Theater of the Mind in it more often, but I'm running into an issue because a lot of my players' characters have decided to take like small AEs, like AEs of like 5-foot radius and things like that. And when I'm doing Theater of the Mind, it can be a little different sometimes with the sheer numbers of creatures I have. When they're like, oh, where can I tactically hit the most of these in this very, very tiny radius? It's actually usually it's usually easier for me to calculate a larger radius spell in terms of who it can hit than trying to guess these smaller radius things. Because at that point, you start having to micromanage where all of the where everything is kind of situated. Anyway, back to this. How to tackle these adventures. Keep on reading this adventure. I hope you find some of this advice helpful. Okay, this is just how to prepare it. That's cool. That's cool. So let's take a look. The adventure summary. The heroes arrive in a town where all of its inhabitants are having horrible nightmares and are slowly being consumed by a mysterious curse or disease. Upon further investigation, adventurers will locate that the source of this haunting is a house covered in illusion spells that prevents anyone from entering the house. Let me move this to fit to width. As they find a way to circumvent the protection spells that surround the house, the players will find that the house is being inhabited by a hag who's using the place as a portal to the dream realm. She's also absorbing the energy of the townsfolk to power her own magical powers in her realm of the dreaming. And you have to defeat the hag and kill her or strike a deal with her for dark and powerful rewards. So it gives you both a good and an evil version. And this is actually not like Bloodborne. This seems relatively unique. I'm actually impressed. The story so far. I'm actually going to go into the story because this is interesting. Oh, and there's art. Yes, it's kind of creepy and stuff, but that's actually perfect for this. This one actually has art in it. Good job. There's a lot of stat pages. So this adventure, even though it says 18 pages, is what? 1, 2, 3... It's like 4 pages of adventure and then a bunch of stats and maps. All right. So it should be relatively quick. After killing her coven sisters, Nisa the Night Hag needs time. time to heal after her battle and time to recover her strength to form a new coven. To that effect, she has created a special hole in the dream plane all to herself. And as she heals and gains power, she needs to further expand her newly created realm. The Night Hag wants to create a domain in the dream realm all to herself. In order to do this, she has to steal the dreams and nightmares of the residents of the town of Elm. As the people of Elm lose their ability to dream, they become shallow, distant, and almost zombie-like versions of themselves. So you come to Elm, you learn about what's going on, people in town having horrible nightmares. Weather has been cloudy and rainy for months straight. Citizens of Elm have lost recollection of travelers arriving in the last month and seem reluctant to abandon their town. The adventurers can get one of the townsfolk to invite them into their home, and they can rent a room at the local inn. Then it's divided into nights. So you got the first night, the second day, and then the manor. And I guess like there's a next night. Is that like the third night, or is that just like after a thing? Let's go back up here. So the first night, each of them has a nightmare. They get all of these clues. They remember a vague shape in a house, but which house? They have individual nightmares, but each will see a thick gray mist. Okay, that's useful. A beautiful garden with colorful flowers is burning with a thick golden smoke. So that gives you a clue on how to destroy it. 3 horrific beasts. And there are spoilers to this, so if you're intending to play in this rather than run it, I don't know. So, I guess these streams are like slightly more helpful to DMs than they are to players. 3 horrific beasts chase the dreaming hero. When they inevitably reach them, they'll start eating each other until only one beast remains. Okay. So, waking up. So, they wake up the next day. Starting with their second night in town, they will suffer 1 exhaustion level per night without proper sleep. And it counts only as a short rest. So it's actually really brutal and really effective. What level is this for? What level is this for? Yeah, what level is this for? City of Nightmares. What? I'm not seeing a level range. Is that because it's all like puzzle based? I'm not seeing a level range on the actual site either. The second day, as they search for clues, talking with the townsfolk and investigating, they'll get these information. What if they just leave? I've had heroes do that before. You hand them a perfectly good quest lead, and they're just like, meh, and they keep going. The shape that they've dreamed about is reminiscent of the architectural style in the older part of town. So they got to find which building. They get clues if they talk around. Searching the location given, they find Clara, a very old woman who remembers the willows. The adventurers can also find Omar, the herbalist and florist. He'll be able to tell them more about the plants, weeds, and flowers' effects and their uses. So then they get to investigate the actual Old Willow Manor, which is hidden. You don't even notice the house is there. Takes a specific check to get in. And it looks like this is it's made for 5th edition, but is vague enough to be used with others. So there's the Willow House. They have to find a way to bypass regular sight. Approach the house blindfolded, see through a magical familiar. Non-magical animals are unaffected, and magical devices that provide immunity to illusion spells. So, give me a moment. Is there a map to the house? Alright, it's a short adventure, so it's not actually keyed. Instead, you only have like 3 or 4 areas in the house that matter, and you have to map it yourself for this adventure. Which I can understand why some people would have a problem with that. I don't, but I can understand why some people would. I actually have like 3 or 4 basic like haunted manor house or haunted manor / haunted mansion maps that I just use as my go-to. So whenever I want to throw a haunted house down, I just pick one and I use that. And you can change the stuff in it, but the floor plan basically stays similar. And I find it's incredibly useful. The main floor of the house is still grounded in the material plane. But then if you go upstairs, things start to shift and change. You got a garden with flowers, and here's the... You get some useful information, or useful plants that you can pick there and then use. And then the basement in this place contains madness. Enter at your own risk. This should be the scariest encounter you can think of. Okay, so, but it doesn't say what that encounter should be. Then you get the next night after they've investigated the house. They get another nightmare. And then they can actually go in, grab stuff from the garden, and try to fight Nisa. Alright. And you can defeat her, and she'll beg for her life and try to make a deal. Neat. Alright. Let's take a look. Nisa is a challenge rating 5 night hag, so she's a little bit weaker, I want to say, than a standard night hag. I don't have a night hag stats memorized. I seem to recall them being slightly higher level. Or am I completely wrong there? She's got minions. And her minions are like one half CR, CR2, so they're smaller minions. That's good. That's adequate. And these look like basic monsters from the monster manual. Although these are new, I think. Is there a Shadow Hound in the basic one? In the basic monster manual? I forget, and I'm too lazy to go get my monster manual. I'm kind of over 5th edition. I gotta be honest. I've been over it for a long time. I'm currently running 2 5th edition games. But, you know, let's be real here. As soon as they're done, I'm probably not going to run any more unless something extraordinary happens. Or, you know, maybe I could run Temple of Elemental Evil, but I'm mostly running OSR style stuff. Alright, there you go. Dream Pixie. It's just a pixie that can speak into your mind. Creatures you can put in the manor just to spice things up. You got your Mimic, your Rug of Smothering. And in the basement, you can put a Black Pudding. But I don't know that there's any rewards. Alright. I mean, maps. Sorry, there is rewards. Here we go. This is for if she makes a deal. She can teach you dream magic in terms of a couple spells. Or she can give you 2 items. While wearing this amulet, you can focus on an event or subject before entering sleep. And then you can learn about their past, present, or future from their sleep. And then this one just guarantees you long rest in half the time. That's not bad. That's not bad. Those are nice little items. Alright. So this is just... This is just guidelines on coming up with 20-minute adventures. So these last 4 pages are like just hints and tips. It looks like they're decent hints and tips. So you just basically, step 1, you just do it, which is, you know, basically how I run a lot of my adventures. I'll prep, but I won't over prep. And if they, basically, what if my players want to explore some area I know nothing about? Then I make it up on the spot, usually. What if they want to talk with the town's vicar? Then I just, like, ad-lib a lot. It's not hard. Now, if you do it, you will have to take notes. Just in case you forget. But, it's not too hard. Think in 3s. And basically, it shows you the 3-act structure. And how you can iterate it. Instant characters. Yeah, because you only need to know a few things about each individual character. And then you can fill out the rest from just generic templates. Okay. These are good tips. These are good tips. I'd actually almost recommend this just for the tips. That was City of Nightmares, also by Steam Pop Games. So let's take a look at the last of the 5th edition offerings I have for this particular stream. And I will take a look. This is called the Cycle, an Elegant Death System for 5th edition, which aims to move the 5th edition death system up from just like having characters drop and then death save until somebody gives them a point of healing and pop up and down. I've actually had issues with characters basically like death save tanking things where they'll never get healed for more than enough to get them to their feet because they know that they can just do that again and again. Alright, this cycle, it's only 3 pages. Nice intro art. Okay. This is from Abyssal Brews. Okay. I held him dear while he breathed his last. And it's because it's basically dramatic death scenes. The cycle is meant to be a replacement to the anticlimax that death can sometimes be in role-playing games. Are you kidding? Well, I won't say every death in RPG games is awesome, but even the most ignominious deaths that I've ever had in my parties, well, let me pull that back. Because it's mean, it's kind of not great to say that somebody's death in a group was memorable when you're the DM. But when I've been playing, like any of my characters' deaths, even the most ignominious of my own character's death, I'm probably mispronouncing that, but who cares? My own characters, even the goofiest of my own characters' deaths, have always been memorable. I never consider them an anticlimax. I consider them an opportunity to play a new character. Slipping into unconsciousness presents little choice or opportunity from roleplay. That's BS. Have you not seen Weekend at Bernie's? A dead man can do plenty of things. When you drop to 0 hit points or below, you enter the cycle. While you're in the cycle, you can continue to move, cast spells, and perform other abilities. What the hell? Your attacks, checks, and saving throws, except for your cycle saving throws, are made at disadvantage. Enemies have this just gives you a reason. It's like shoot him. His soul is still dancing. That kind of shit. Any damage you inflict is halved. Your base land speed is lowered by 5 feet. While you're in the cycle, your hit points continue into the negatives when you take damage. At the start of your turn, when you're in the cycle, you must make a Constitution saving throw versus DC 10 or the half, or the half. Okay, editor or half of the absolute value of your negative hit points, whichever is higher. Yeah, editor, get a freaking editor. This makes no sense. If you succeed on your saving throw, mark a success. Otherwise, mark a failure. If you accrue 3 successes before you accruing 3 failures, you return to 1 hit point and exit the cycle. If you accrue 3 failures, you die. So it's just basically death saves. Except that rolling a 20 is a critical success and you only get 2 successes. Because if you're in the cycle, then you're already able to act and everything. So they do reduce the benefit of rolling a 20 for the cycle saves. Failed cycle saving throws stay with you even when you exit the cycle until you take a long rest. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, this got interesting because until this point, this was just buffing death. But when failed cycle saving throws stay with you, even when you exit the cycle until you take a long rest, that means that all of a sudden your death saving throws like linger with you. That's brutal. Okay, that explains how they can buff it like that. While you're in the cycle, healing works to counteract any negative hit points you may have accrued. If you're healed to where your hit points re-enter positive numerals, you exit the cycle immediately. Your attacks, checks, and saving throws are no longer made at disadvantage. Enemies no longer have advantage on saving throws against you. Okay, so it basically negates the effects of the cycle. When you exit the cycle through being healed, you still carry forward any failed cycle saving throws. until you take a long rest. If healing of any type sets your hit points to 0, you're considered on the brink. This is not a bad system. I had my doubts about this system so far, but it's not a bad system. Seems relatively balanced so far. And I say that from somebody who prefers old school stuff where if you hit 0, you like get KO'd or die. Using a healer's kit, spare the dying cantrip or any other source of stabilizing any other creature will set that creature's hit point to 0 and put that creature on the brink. You cannot, by any means, put yourself on the brink. Yeah, because they're all like proper nouns, so you have to say them like that. It's required. While on the brink, your attacks, checks, and saving throws are made at disadvantage. Enemies have advantage on saving throws against your spells, so it's basically like the cycle. While on the brink, you are considered stable. Oh, it's like being in the cycle, but you don't have to make any cycle saving throws. Okay. Instant death. If you take damage equal to the negative value of your maximum hit points, you die instantly. The body can only take so much punishment before it gives out. They have to shoot you until your soul stops dancing. Okay. That's not a bad system. I thought this was gonna... Mind you, if this dude gets like... I'm sorry, this artwork just cracks me up. I gotta put that in an adventure sometime. Just like a triggered trap, except they don't know it's a trap. It's like a wall, and like the only indication that it's not a wall is like somebody's hand poking, somebody's mummified hand poking out. I gotta do that. I'm sorry. That art has inspired me. Okay, this was the cycle, an option, like an alternate death system for D&D 5th edition. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's different. It's slightly different from the basic game, and it's different. I kind of like it. I don't know that I'd use it, but I kind of like it. I see how it would be appropriate for certain games. Oh man, let's go on to the next one. Hold on, I gotta check something out here. All right, sorry about that. Let's go into OSR stuff. OSR, my home. Oh my God, it's printed upside down. I never mind. I know it's got printing right side up further in. I check these things. I don't read through them a lot, but I do like give them a once over when I download them, just to make sure that they don't have any art that's going to get me smacked down on YouTube. And I've failed in that regard a few times. By the way, which is why you always have to check what you do on this platform. This is called Castle of Chronos. It is a pay-what-you-want offering. Most of these are pay-what-you-want. There's some free ones coming later, but most of these are pay-what-you-want. And remember, if you use a pay-what-you-want thing for an afternoon of gaming with your friends and such, throw a little bit of money to the author if you enjoy it. Because, I mean, it's like, you know, back in the old days when I used to game in person, decades ago, I would, you know, we'd have like the pizza fund or the snacks fund or whatever. You'd have like a pool. So if you run like a pay what you want thing online, you can always say, okay, if you enjoyed it, you can throw some money in the reward the author pool, and then, you know, go back and throw them some money on Drive-Thru RPG. This one's a Harper's Quest adventure, and Harper's Quest, I believe, is an OSR adjacent system. Do I actually have Harper's Quest? I could have sworn I've seen it. Did I cover it last time? Now I'm going to be confused this entire time. I'm me wondering what I'm doing. Wandering into random cafes. Alright, fit to width is not helping me. Oh my god. Here. A Harper's Quest adventure. Castle of Chronos. It's got that... I just can't get over it. I love this. I love this line art style. Like, my only problem with this line art style is that I'm trying to put together some stuff that I can actually publish myself. Like some just dippy little adventures and supplements I can start putting out. Since that seems to be the YouTuber thing. And of course I'm up to like my eyeballs and stuff already. I've got to record a bunch of Let's Plays. I've got another review to get out. This one going to be a little bit easier, even though it's a system I've never played before. Just because it's well written and not, going to have people crawling out of the woodwork at me. But, I want to have artwork that's like old school line art or just abstract kind of line art like you see in this stuff down here. But I don't want to rely on stock art, although stock art has its place. But my authors, or not my artists, my artists, like the artist chick that I use for my header and I use for my little icon, and I'm about to commission some other stuff from her. She doesn't do that style of art, so I would have to look on like Fiverr, and then I'd have to explain to her why I commissioned somebody beside her to do art. Because you can't do line art. Anyway, let's get back to this. Alright, so what is Castle of Chronos? It is like a 9-page adventure. I'm already 3 pages in, so it's like 6 pages. And they're not very big pages, because it's designed to be, as you can tell up here, it's designed to be like 6 pages that you print out 1 page and you can fold it up into a little pamphlet and stick it in your pocket. You have to help us, they cried. You must get him back. Weeks ago, your greatest friend and mentor, Fainrol, whom you have never heard until we gave you this quest, left on a quest to find a resurrection draft. Rumors abound that the rare potion was guarded by a chronomancer. You agree to help Fainrol's family. Fainrol's family gives you 1 bread and 1 bottle of cow's milk. 4 hit points of healing for your journey. Roll 3d6 for gold and visit the item shop before you depart. This does not seem like a proper OSR thing. This reminds me of is a game book. Is that what Harper's Quest is? What is Harper's Quest? I could have sworn that I covered Harper's Quest before. What's Harper's Quest? No. Give me a second. Let me actually paste in. Damn it. Here, give me a second. I failed on cut and paste. It was my bad. Wait. There we go. Castle of Chronos. The first supplement and expansion for Harper's Quest. It's got streamlined combat, dodging, blade locking. Harper's Quest is also available as a pay-what-you-want offering from Joy Peddler Games. An ultralight solo no prep dungeon crawler. I think I did cover this last time. I think I did. It's just a quick booklet. It's like really quick. I remember enjoying it, but I also remember... Have I published anything on DriveThruRPG? No, I don't. That's what I was talking about. I've got like a stack of stuff, and I've got like 2 or 3 adventures that I've written and run for the patrons. But I haven't actually published them from DriveThruRPG. What style of art does she do? Mostly like anime and World of Warcraft inspired stuff. So she's not bad. She's not bad. Her link is in... I think I've got her link in my channel info. She did the banner for my channel. Like the version of me like in that goofy 70s getup, and then like the goblin that is funny because she only has World of Warcraft goblins to go on. But she actually does better art than that. I was just cheap. I didn't buy the other stuff. She's decent at it. She's not. Look, she's not the best artist, but she's also not bad. You see what I'm saying? She does pretty solid little art for her niche, for her cost, you know. Anyway, back to Castle of Chronos. But I do need to put some stuff on Drive-Thru RPG. There's like no reason I shouldn't. I run a YouTube channel that occasionally covers tabletop games. So there's no reason I shouldn't put it up. Yeah, anime style with an OSR product. Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. She also used to do Disney stuff, Disney type stuff pretty well too, which amused me to no end. I'd get like years ago. I used to get like character art that ended up looking like Disney princes. It was funny as hell. Anyway, here we go. So this is more like your old game book style games. So you get 1 bread and 1 bottle of cow's milk, 4 hit point of healing for your journey. Roll 3d6 for gold. Visit the item shop. You go forth. You roll 2d6 to determine the number of hours it takes to reach the castle. Roll a wilderness check encounter every 2 hours. As I said, this uses Harper's Quest. It's got the rules right here. During combat, roll 1d20 for each combatant at the same time. It's actually got the rules included, which is nice. Attacks at or above AC hit, but if it rolls match or within 1, you're a blade lock. Roll 1d6 for each combatant. Highest wins a standoff and rolls for damage, no dodging. Attacks occur at the same time. If you kill an opponent during a round, they can attack during that. Attacks occur at the same time. If you kill an opponent in a round, they can attack during that round. So they can get you with their dying breath. And I love combats that work like that. I really do, actually. The oldest versions of D&D, like the white box, I think they worked like that. Like, you could get a simultaneous kill from the earliest editions of D&D. Because you basically resolved everything and then you did damage at the end. If I remember right. It's been a long time since I've run white box. Battle sequence. Roll d20s. If hit, dodge check. Account for damage, then entropy if applicable. What the... I mean, there's a difference between shorthanding stuff and not explaining it. This has got to be in the main book. So you basically dodge it. You get to roll a d20, compare it to what your dex stat is. I have no idea what entropy is because it's not explained. Here's your wilderness encounters. You just got... Oh, here we go. It is explained. My bad. I'm awful sorry, Castle of Chronos. I jumped to a conclusion. My bad. Entropy affects all who enter Chronos Castle. Entropy cannot decrease, only increase or stay the same. It is an unavoidable, unending march towards chaos. Each new room entered adds 1 entropy. Once you enter an entropic state, your body is at its most probable state. As a result, all stats except hit points revert to 10 for the remainder of the game. Brutal! But how do you enter an entropic state? What's an entropic state? It doesn't explain it there either. Is it... Give me a moment. Is it explained later? No, it's not. That really isn't explained. How the hell? Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Is it up in here? Yes, these are the rules I didn't want to go into. Oh, god damn it. No, this is just the book. It never explains entropic state in this. I hope it explains it in the core rules. But it goes to great length to explain everything else. So you got your encounters. They are very minimally designed. It doesn't look like any of the... Hold on. It does not... Do these things even have hit points? No. All right, the combat rules aren't explained in this either. Doors are open, but each new room adds 1 entropy. So these are just modifications to Harper's Quest. So a lot of this requires knowledge of Harper's Quest, and I don't know enough about it. But it looks pretty simple. Is this just randomly generated? There's no map. So Harper's Quest, I think, is just a solo random generation rule set, and this just sits on top of it. God, I can't even talk anymore. And you wonder why it takes me so long to put videos out. I think something's like wrong up here. I think I might have like a mini stroke or some shit like that. Getting old. Stumbling over my words all the time. That's a lie. I could never speak right. I haven't been able to speak properly in damn near 30 years. Alright, maximum hit point is halved. Caster is quantized. What the hell is quantized? Oh, it's because it's here. It's right here. You're weaker, but evade attacks easily. You dodge on a 8+ on a d20, but your AC is 8. Damage is half, rounding down. Okay. So yeah, these are just add-ons that go onto the random generation thing. And since it's just Chronomancer, you get light-based and gravity-based stuff, because everybody knows that gravity is a function of time and acceleration on space-time. Or something. It doesn't look that bad. I mean, you have to have the basic rules before you go into it. I do like the artwork for it. That was Castle of Chronos. I've already put the link in chat. Let's move on. Let's move on. I can't spend all day agonizing over that little one. Next up is the Goblins' Lair. This one looks like it is a extremely brief OSR style adventure. Here is the link. And here is the actual adventure. It's a 10-page adventure dungeon module A1 for characters of levels 1 to 3 by Tony Garcia. And it's got OSR styled artwork in a somewhat amateur, in a weirdly amateur but at the same time interesting way. This is the kind of stuff that you would see like in the early days or in somebody's notebook. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that. There's a lot of detail here. It looks almost like something out of like late 90s animation. Like not like common animation, but like the kind of stuff that you see like on a music video or something. Voxel House, Adventures for Old School RPGs. What system is it for? Doesn't tell you what system it's for. I get the whole OSR aesthetic, but at least tell me what... Here we go. Using the BX books. We also recommend BX Essentials, Adventures, and Treasures. So basically they're recommending Old School Essentials. Except this is like based on the older version. I kind of like Old School Adventures or Old School Essentials. And I've got the Old School Essentials style guide, which we're going to take a look at tonight. Because that was actually put out. And I'm interested in seeing what it takes to make an OSC adventure. The best thing about Old School Essentials that sets it apart from the other really nice OSR stuff that I've taken a look at, the best thing about Old School Essentials is the standardization. So you essentially get like an easy way to produce old school OSR content, even though it's focused on BX, just because everything's laid out nice and easy for you. That's like the best thing about At least from a developer standpoint. From a player standpoint, it's actually the same thing. It's because it's formatted nicely. It's like it doesn't bring anything new to the table. It's just formatted nice. Anyway, Goblin's Lair. Constant attacks have been carried out in the forest region near Holy Rock. The small town of Tavero Village was raided by a group of goblins that are plundering the agricultural region near the city. There is suspicion that there is suspicion that there is a lair of these beings near the village, but so far, no one has been able to find the place. The mayor of the city is hiring adventurers to discover and eliminate this band of goblins. It offers a big reward in addition to allowing the booty found with these beings to own the heroes. What? What? Wait, what? There's got to be a translation error. The mayor... It offers a big reward, okay, but in addition to allowing the booty found with these beings to own the heroes. Sorry, heroes. You're now the property of that treasure over there. No, that's got to be a translation error issue. I can't get on them for that because I suspect that these Tony Garcia, Guto Praguer. Yeah, I suspect that there's some things there, you know. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. Goblin's Lair is a one-shot style adventure, one that you can play in an afternoon or fits into your larger campaign. Now that's wrong on me. This is probably this may be just the same brain gargle I'm having, brain garble that I am having. I tell you, man. You know, everybody's going to be having brain issues pretty soon. Just the way it goes, man. It's the in thing. This adventure is designed for up to 4 players from levels 1 to 3. That's nice. It takes place in the world of Etrusia. You arrive in the village. You get the news that goblins are attacking Tavero Village. The mayor, Marcus Scratbush. And I guarantee you, with a name like Scratbush, you are going to get laughs. Offers a reward of 600 gold to the one who brings the head of Razor, the goblin who leads this band. So that's actually very old school. I like that. Players search for information only in a tavern in the only tavern in the city, Tavern of the Giant. Their players will be able to do 4 tests with NPCs using their charisma. You pass the test, you get more information each time. Got a nice little map here of the local area. I like that. You get rules on traveling to the site, random encounters, which, I might add, include seeing goblin footprints, which can then possibly lead to different goblin encounters. And I actually really like these kind of branching encounter tables because it gives you the opportunity to do things other than just, oh, there's a monster, you know, you can encounter it. What I like to do, ideally, and I don't always do it, is I populate my encounter tables with non-combat, like just atmosphere encounters, like hearing sounds and such. And I got that habit from things like Ravenloft and stuff. But in some groups, it doesn't work quite so well. So I've been kind of veering away, like back away from that recently. But yeah, if you've got a bunch of creatures in an area, then you put like its own encounter table where most of your encounters are going to go to. Got the map written in crude characters in the language of the goblins that you can find on a dead goblin body. And the map gives you information on where the goblin lair is. Upon reaching the goblin's lair, you can optionally have one encounter with 1d6 goblins. These will provide 1d6 healing potions with 1d6 hit points to players when defeated. Just so that they have a pack of healing potions. So you basically jump a bunch. You can basically optionally give them a pack of goblin medics to give them healing potions. It's not bad. I like that idea. I'm going to steal that idea. That's the best way to make good adventures, is just take all the neat ideas. Alright, remains of a hunter's camp. Nothing found. You know what's funny is that I have remains of a hunter's camp almost exactly like this in my Black Ridge Barony game. Like really. Here, let me take a look at it. This one says remains of a hunter's camp. Nothing found. Roll in this table again. 4 findings. Okay, well I guess these are 2 separate entries. My bad. So nothing found in the hunter's camp. So it's not exactly like this. Because what I did was, I had like, in my encounter thing, I had like remains of a hunter's camp. And then I had like a table of findings in the camp. So I basically combined these 2 types of things. So wait, the Goblin Lair itself... The Goblin Lair itself is a potential random encounter in the forest. So you enter the forest and you roll a test, which is essentially 1d6. And you just wander through the forest until you randomly find the place, which I guess is one way to do it. If in 6 rolls the players cannot find the entrance to the cave, the day ends and night arrives. I mean, it could be worse. I guarantee you that some of my groups would find it better with this one than actually looking for it. I got a group, I got actually my Patreon/supporter group. They just spent the last session wandering back and forth to the same place like 5 times looking for this wolf. Just through a combination of misfortune and not quite getting the clues. It was kind of funny towards the end, because I kept on like towards the end when they finally ran across everything. I was like giving them more and more information, and they would say, "Oh, we walk in the forest again." I'm like, "You walk in the forest? Do you want to buy anything? Maybe, hire anybody to lead you around the forest?" And eventually I just had an NPC just walk up to, or an NPC they talked to just basically said, "Look, you're obviously doing it wrong," except in a politer term. They're like, "Look, if you can't find it, maybe you can ask the local ranger. He might be able to tell you where it's at." And I just had the NPC spell it out. Worked well after that. Anyway, you got your... This is a town, but it looks more like a military camp. It's nice, square, orderly. Taviero Village is a small town. Okay. So you're saying it's not a village. It's a small town. And I think it's actually a small town with a growing ego, because Taviero Village is a small town, but from 8 p.m. onward, no one enters the city. So I'm just waiting until such time as all of a sudden they're talking about Taviero Village as like a major city. Alright, so it's basically just the Goblins Lair. I'm sorry, I shouldn't give them I shouldn't give them such crap. It's a basic, it's a very linear dungeon. Oh my god. Oh, this is like a Skyrim dungeon almost, except it doesn't loop back to the beginning. All you need is like a ledge that runs like legitimately all you need. I don't want a signature. Why am I adding a signature? I don't want a signature. What I want is, I don't want a highlight tool. All you need is like a ledge that runs around here and then pops out here. And it'll be a Skyrim dungeon. I don't know. Are there any neat encounters in here at least? There's the entrance, goblins. Dining hall, goblins. Ossuary. No goblins, but there's hidden gold. That's not bad. The arsenal. There are elite goblins there, with potential for treasure. Resting room, goblins. Cat hole. A goblin is squatting in response to a call from nature, and you surprise him. Oh my god, are you going to kill a goblin while he's on the restroom? By winning in combat, you can investigate the pile of debris. I don't know if I want to. You basically walk into this room, and this goblin is taking a dump. One goblin. Oh my god. So you walk into this room, and there's a goblin taking a dump, and a pile of debris in the corner. You kill the goblin. You can search the debris to find some gold pieces. But if you're that dude, if you were that guy, you kill the goblin while he's, dropping trowel, and then you search the latrine, and that's where the real treasure is. Somebody's got to be that guy. I can't say that I won't be that guy, because if I'm playing a necromancer in another game, and I am that guy, except I'm not the one searching stuff myself. I'm having my zombies do it. But I guess it paid off in this adventure. And then you get Razor, the big goblin. The adventure ends there. Man, this is a super... I kind of... Okay, editing issues aside, I like the premise of this adventure, but this is way too linear, man. This is way too linear. Boop, and then you're done. There's no branching. There's no real exploration. And the Goblin Lair. It's not bad, it's just... I don't want to save changes. That was the Goblin Lair. That is an incredibly average adventure. I will say that it was formatted, well. If you want to do an OSR product, that's like your bare minimum kind of setup. This is like your bare minimum acceptable adventure setup. You got your write-up, you got your key, you got your map, you got your monster blocks. The goblin, yeah, that's like bare minimum adventure 101. I don't want to be down on them. They didn't do anything really poorly. It's just, it's like, what was that term I used to use that I stole from somebody? Aggressively mediocre. Anyway, next. Let's get on with this. Chimeras, Daughters of Sin. And I think this is like a Mort Borg thing. I gotta check my messages. Give me a minute. Okay. Checked. Messages checked. So I think this is Mort Borg. Yes, Mort Borg. I have not played Mort Borg. But I keep coming up with stuff that I end up wanting to take a look at or review from Mort Borg. And it's never more than like 3 to 4 pages, usually just 1 or 2. My problem, like my whole... I don't even know what the system is like. I need to take a look. But my main problem with Mort Borg stuff actually stems from its style. And hear me out here. I actually like the metal style. I like that hard, like that metal styling for the artwork and stuff. But it is hard to read. It is so hard to read. Oh, God, it's hard to read. And this one's one of the better examples. And look at this. You got art over the text. You got weird font choices. They look metal as hell, but God, that's hard to read. I gotta zoom in to read this stuff. Oh, and get this. As I'm zooming in, I gotta wait for it or else it gives me like the low-res version of the font. Okay. So this is like a one-page expansion. It's a pay what you want one page for Morkborg. Chimeras are daughters of sin, generated from pain of sin and in the horror of sin. They will consume you, sinner, because, yes, we are metal. How this work? Okay. How this work? Chimeras random generator for all OSR systems. Inspired and compatible with Morkborg. Just roll on this as indicated for each table to create a chimera if you need one, or, if you prefer, run this using the brief sin system below for your game. Each PC has 1d6 sin points, SP, from character creation. These points can't exceed... Each PC has 1d6 sin points from character creation. These points can't exceed from the obtained result. Every time the PC commits a sin reduced by 1, his SP total score. At 0 SP, see 4 chimeras of birth. Every PC should have a chimera the GM made from the first game to not lose time when the moment will come. Chimera's birth. Should I continue like that? I don't want to crap on this this has got to be a translation. This one has to be a translation. I don't want to crap on people's translations, but I also... It's made by Old Raging Barbarian. I like Old Raging Barbarian. I've covered their things before. Old Raging Barbarian is generally awesome. What happened here? Is this a Google Translate? Give me a moment. I don't want to be the a-hole, but I also am having a real hard time reading a Google Translate. Yeah, Old Raging Barbarian has done all kinds of awesome stuff in the past. They do one-page stuff for OSR stuff. I got to assume that English is not their primary language. What's their primary language? I mean, they've got a lot of stuff. Alcune notes son MPS score. That's what language is this in? Is this Italian? Or Spanish or Portuguese? Well, there's one way to find out. I can dump it into Google Translate and see what it comes up with. This has got to... Hold on. I'm sorry. I've got to figure this out. I don't want to like stop my stuff, but now I'm kind of like curious. Detect language. Blah. Italian. It is Italian. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to crap on them if English is not their native tongue. But at the same time, Google Translate really massacres things sometimes. And it turns something that would ordinarily be cool into, like, something that's borderline laughable. And I'm really sorry. But I already have a hard time understanding Morkborg stuff. And if you add Google Translate style stuff onto that, I can't really take it seriously. But this looks decent. You've got like abominations here, And they give you like mutations. You get corruption as you go on. But the whole thing about it is that I can barely understand how they're made. So I'm going to have to go ahead and call this one short here. That's Chimeras Daughters of Sin by Old Raging Barbarian. I usually really like Old Raging Barbarian stuff. I just can't wrap my head around the translation on that one. I am so sorry. All right, well, the final OSR product I'm looking at tonight is Old School Essentials Terminology and Style Guide. And we're going to find out what this terminology and style guide actually does. And it's just going to be a breeze. It's only 3 pages. A document is 3 pages with 1 cover page. A document describing the standard terminology, writing style, and structures used in official Old School Essentials books. Publishers of products using the Old School Essentials third-party license may wish to refer to this guide in order to ensure their products are easy to use with other Old School Essentials books. And style guides are very important, especially if you want a consistent look across everything. And if I produce anything for Old School Essentials, I will probably have to take a look at this style guide. Got the official Old School Essential books uses the following standard terminology. You've got your ability checks are listed as checks, not necessarily, something else. Ability scores may be referred to capitalized for words or as abbreviations. So you always kind of like do this instead of like a lowercase dexterity. You can use, a proper noun dexterity. Armor class always capitalized, so never lowercase it. Attack roll is a standard term, although hit roll is sometimes used. Likewise, roll to hit and roll to attack. So you want to prefer the attack roll bit. Chances, something in something. That's useful because I've seen it portrayed like 5 different ways in different OSR games. Yeah, this is just the standard stuff. Hit dice, always capitalized, maybe abbreviated to HD. This is basic style guide stuff. Saving throw categories bear these specific names. Useful. Saving throws are always lowercase. Save versus wands. Verses or verses are both fine. That's not bad. Yeah, no need to explain some of these things because they're in the core rules. Text structure and style guides. They are written and structured using the following principles. Third-party publishers may wish to use the same scheme. It is just the style guide. Use bullets to break up longer paragraphs. Makes it easier for readers to quickly pick out aspects of the rules, which is, again, one of the really nice things about OSE is that it is easy to read. That's one of the things that I really liked about it. Which is why it is now supplanting Labyrinth Lord as one of my favorite BX clones. And I love Labyrinth Lord. Keep any commentary separated from the main text. Official Old School Essentials use section headings plus 3 levels of page headings. That's not bad. Use the gender-neutral they, their in sentences where the construction sounds awkward. Use the character of the player, etc. instead. I do that. Like, I don't mind this. I do that naturally. Because here's the thing. I did tech writing for a while. And unless... Like, I did tech writing in the 90s, and I've been using this style. Used for a series of steps or enumerated alternatives, numbered lists, ordering, order headings. Yeah, this is not difficult. Official Old School Essential books are written in clean, minimalistic reference manual style, and that's what attracted me to them. Yeah, this is not a difficult thing. Refer to the player as the referee in the third person, not as you, which is something that's actually a little bit harder for me to... It's like I understand the concept behind referring to them in the third person, because that makes it very clean, gives it a very common voice throughout. But it's a hard habit for me to break using the word you in like everything. In fact, somebody pointed that out to me the other day. I was using you to refer to like the abstract plural, and they wanted to make sure I wasn't referring to them specifically, and I was like, no, it's the abstract plural. It's a bad habit of mine. Anyway, that was like the driest thing ever, but it's also one of the more useful things. That was Old School Essentials, terminology and style guide for if you want to produce Old School Essentials stuff. Now, I have 5 more things to look at. And I know I've only got a couple people watching this so far, but I know from experience that more people will be watching it later. I've got Goblins Grabbed My Dice. Goblins Grabbed My Dice. I will put the link in the chat. And let me look it up real quick. Goblins Grab My Dice is a pay what you want offering from Matt Stormcrow, where you play a team of goblins that have snuck into a gaming convention somewhere in Middle America. Your goal is to steal the most precious jewel among goblin kind, Matthew rocks, clickety-clacks, dice. It is a one-shot game of zany hijinks, cartoon mischief, and chaotic, silly gobbos. That's not bad. Seems goofy. This along the lines of like Kobolds Stole My Baby, probably, or something like that. Except slightly less dark. Actually, Kobolds Stole My Baby is not dark. I just make it dark. I just make it like super dark. Goblins Grabbed My Dice. That's cute. That's cute. That's cute artwork. Okay, 7 pages. And 1 page is basically explaining that that it's set in the real world. And that you need to not really worry about where the goblins came from. I mean, it's amusing. I don't understand. Is this him? Is this the author throwing shade at Matt Mercer? Or genuinely being like is he throwing shade, or is he joking, or is it just like kind of combination of both? Because that would be hilarious. I think it's a combination of both. So basically, if the words character sheet, game master, or D6 don't mean anything to you, I'm flattered that this is your first RPG you've decided to try. But find someone in a t-shirt with a 20-sided polyhedron die hidden cleverly in the design and ask them. Or tweet Matthew Mercer. I'm sure he's not busy. Yeah, then you'd have to get on Twitter. And that would mean you're stepping into a cesspool. So. Alright, build a gob. Get yourself a piece of paper. Of course, you only need one. Write gob name somewhere on the paper. Yes, in capitals is very important. Choose your goblin's name. I recommend opening your fridge and reading the very first thing that catches your eye. That's amusing. Write gob kind somewhere on the paper. You choose from 3 kinds of goblins: glitter goblin, feral goblin, or trash goblin. It should be noted that each goblin's kind is just a personal identity chosen of their own free will. Each of these little horrible monsters would like racial essentialism to kindly buzz off in their fantasy genre. What? What? I don't even understand that. Write skills somewhere on the paper, and underneath it write 3 lines. Goblin, Peeplin, and Trench Coat. These are the only 3 skills a goblin has or needs. Add your skill ratings. Write 4. So this is basically a quick play mini RPG. Draw a crude stick figure of your character somewhere on the page, or show off your art degree, and try not to think about the crushing student debt, whichever works for you. Yeah. I have crushing student debt. I'm just basically going to have to let it default, because I do not make enough to pay it back. And it's going to be brutal. Grab 2d6 from the pile. Show them off to the rest of the table. Cackling, this is the beginning of your dice board. Okay. So you start with, it just takes 2d6. Glitter goblins are the shiniest goblins, drawn to bright colors, flashing things, and most of all glitter. They talk at length about how they are a Leo, whatever that means. They cannot be trusted around a karaoke machine. Glitter goblins have the urges to be complete center of attention at inconvenient times. Okay. Trash goblins are the most vile, tasteless, and unfiltered creatures on the planet. Outside of certain political talk show hosts, and even then, the goblins have far more charm. They cannot be trusted not to break something or steal anything. They have the urges to break things that they shouldn't, or steal worthless garbage when they shouldn't be stealing when they should be stealing clapbacks. Feral goblins aren't suitable. They just aren't. They use their mouth more than their hands for grabbing things. They will eat literally everything that can fit in their mouths, including smaller goblins. The only thing that can make them shape up for a short amount of time is the promise of glorious click-clack math rocks. Alright. You roll the dice horde whenever you want to do something. The Godmaster will tell you the roll's difficulty and each skill applies. You need to roll at least enough success to match the roll difficulty. Roll your entire dice horde that isn't in dice jail. You are trying to roll at or below your skill rating. The number next to that skill. Every dice you roll at or below your skill rating equals 1 success. So more than one goblin can work together on a roll if they're in the same place. So it's d6 dice pool versus difficulty total. It's not too bad. If a roll fails, every player who rolled puts one of their dice in dice jail. They can get them out by various goblin ways. If two characters want to oppose each other, both goblins make a roll against the appropriate skill. One with the most successes wins, and the Godmaster says what happens. Goblin, the refined art of being a friggin' goblin. Goblin activities include sneaking around, running away, cleaning your toenails with your teeth, and playing badminton. If something isn't clearly peeplin or a trench coat, it is a goblin roll. Peeplin. The impressive skill of acting like a human, at least for a short time. Peeplin activities include being persuasive, reading things, stringing more than 3 coherent words together, and having ridiculously strong opinions about children's cartoon franchises. That is nice, neutral, geek humor, and I like it. Trenchcoat. The ancient and mysterious goblin art of disguise dating back to at least the Thursday before last. Trigger your internet reference here. Whenever you want to not look like a friggin' goblin, you need to find some materials, probably gather up some friends, and roll trenchcoat to disguise yourself for one scene. If you roll trenchcoat as a team effort, all the goblins involved stuff themselves into a costume. Choose which is the head, the feet, and the hands. All peeplin rolls made by the head, while goblin rolls are made by the hands or feet, depending on the Goblin Master's ruling. Okay. So this gives you your difficulty for individual examples of difficulties. She's got a little bit of a obsession with Matt Mercer here. Goblin talk fun, but to talk like a human, you have to try real hard. When talking as your goblin, you can use only 3 words per sentence, so they put limits on how you can RP them. That's funny. When talking as goblin, you can only use 3 words per sentence. You can only use 1 or 2 syllable words. If your goblin wants to say a complex sentence, you must make a peeplin roll. Every success point allows you to add 1 more word to a sentence, or to use 1 more complex word. There's a bright side to this. Once you manage to say a more complex sentence, you can repeat that sentence exactly as much as you want for the rest of the game. So you can string together this really long sentence just going. Anyway, grabbing click clacks. Every scene you manage to steal a dice, add 1d6 to your horde. You only get 1d6 per scene you manage to steal a dice. If the highest crime among the goblins steal dice from another goblin, you cannot lose dice or have them taken away from you. However, you can have them put in dice jail. Whenever you fail a roll, take one of them and put them into dice jail. That is, unless it's your only die left in your horde. You always get to keep 1 die in your horde. Your goblin is getting very frustrated at all this talking, sneaking, and other stuff, and they have to do for precious click clacks. You get your dice out of jail but indulging. Editor. I guess this guy's editing all stuff. You can get dice out of dice jail by indulging one of your goblin type's urges once per scene, or you can get them out and score big by going gobbo on the goblin roll. When your goblin goes gobbo on the goblin roll, your goblin blows their top and acts like a total goblin. Disguise rips, con security is bitten, things that should not be eaten or eaten, and they are unmistakably revealed to be a complete and utter goblin before having to flee the scene. Roll normally, but every dice in your dice jail counts as an automatically success without rolling. After this roll, all your jailed dice go back into your dice pool. So you just basically berserk out and become a goblin. Thump them, it's not really combat, it's just good old thumping. When they want to get someone completely out of the way, they can try to thump them. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they knock them out. They can be locked in the closet, run away in embarrassment, etc., etc. So it's not combat. It can be combat, but it's not necessarily combat, which is not a bad idea. If the goblins fail to thump someone, they get thumped. They are the ones running off or locked into Matthew Mercer's luggage. What the hell is with Matt Mercer here? That joke was funny the first time. It's not funny the fifth time. Goblins don't really thump each other. It's just not a goblin thing to do. Etc., etc. The goblins win the game when they have combined the dice words of all players contain 5 times the number of players' dice. It's not bad. So yeah, that's cute. And you get how to design a random thing. That's cute. I'll say it. Goblins grab my... Yeah, that's a cute little system. I've seen worse one-shot systems. What do I got left? Am I going to even cover these? Alright, I know I'm not going to go in depth in the last one. I'm just going to take an eyeball at it. So that gives me like 3 more that I'm going to go a little bit in depth on. Next one is Dungeon Awesome. Now, what even is Dungeon Awesome? Dungeon Awesome rules like fantasy RPG. Kill stuff, loot stuff, die, repeat. It is a pay-what-you-want thing from Simian Circle Games. And that is literally everything you see, you hear about it on... Everything you read about it on the site page. I need to do a video on, like, how to write... Like the bare minimum you want to include in a description on a sales site. Because I have had some stuff come up where I wanted to cover it for RPG News Roundup, and then I open it up and it's got like a line of text that doesn't tell you what the product is. I've had products come up that I didn't know whether they were a system, whether they were an adventure, whether they were a bestiary, whether they had a particular number of players or whatever. I've read some stuff where I just did not know what it was, and I was like, wow, from the art I really wanted to cover it, but then your description just totally failed me. And then on the other hand, I've had ones where I've opened it up and it's been like an RPG, and their sales pitch was like, this is a game where you pretend to be, people in a fantasy world. And it's basically like the description of like your generic role-playing game. And I'm like, that doesn't help me, dude. There's like thousands upon thousands of RPGs out there now. Just writing that you're yet another generic role-playing game is not going to help you. You got to have a catch. Anyway, this is a 3-page simple RPG for quick adventure. You got your GM, character creation. Characters considered dungeon crawler adventures looking to score some loot. PC's natural AC is 8. You choose armor during character creation or not. PCs start with D6 hit point at level 1. PCs start with 2 action points per round. Light weapons use 1 action. Heavy weapons use 2. Doing something simple requires 1 action. So you can move and attack with a light weapon, or you can move, and then if you've got your heavy weapon, you can only do that. Doing something complex requires 2 or more actions. During character creation, choose 2 light weapons, or 1 light weapon and a shield, or 1 heavy weapon. PCs get adventuring gear 2. PCs start with 3d6 gold. PCs start at level 1. The maximum PC level is 5. PCs gain 1 level every 2 sessions, so it is a very, very rules-light abstract thing in that way. They get an extra action at level 3 and 5. They get 1d2 hit points per level, so it keeps everything on the down low. I like that. This seems like the kind of thing that I would use for like a Flash game. What? I don't care if it looks like a form. It's not a form. Freaking Adobe. I remember when it was just like a program that you just read stuff in. My God. Anyway. Okay, light weapons do 1 damage. Heavy weapons do 2. Light armor gives you 9 AC, -1 to test of strength. Heavy armor, better AC, -1 act. I guess that's action. -2 to test of heavy strength seed, and shields just give 1 +1 AC. Cannot use a heavy weapon or a two-handed weapon, so I guess they're the one and the same. Common adventure items cost 1 to 5 gold each. Doesn't even tell you what they are because it doesn't need to because it's abstract. Conflict resolution in combat. Roll 2d6 and add level compared to a difficulty score or armor class. A roll equal to or greater than is a success. So it's basically like your d20 thing, but you use 2d6. Roll penalties are either 1 or 2. Round is all the time it takes to take a turn. A turn is the time it takes a combatant to perform their actions. Very basics. Not necessarily anything but the most abstract measurement of time. If the combat favors the PCs, let all the PCs act first. Otherwise, each combatant rolls 2d6 and adds a level to determine combat order. Ties go to the highest level first, then PCs. The attack roll is equal to or exceeds the DS or AC. It is successful. If 2 boxcar, 2 6s are rolled, the damage is doubled. If there's snake eyes, then the combatant's turn automatically ends. If you're using a weapon, roll a die on the weapon is busted. On one of the weapons is busted. So not only can you crit fail end your turn, but you can also break your weapon. Oh man, that is brutal. Kind of like it. Damage is subtracted from hit points. When hit points equals 0, death occurs. Light weapons do 1. Heavy weapons do 2. There's no stats, I've noticed, which is neat, I guess, because I guess it keeps things going pretty quick. I would not mind like a Flash version of this game, this particular one, kind of like was it Dungeon Robber? I haven't played that in forever. Well, although I guess Flash is dead now, so God, I'm showing my age. Maybe just like an HTML5 thing. Anyway, for NPCs, if hit points reduced to 2 or less, roll a die on a roll of 5 or 6. The morale is shattered, and the combatant attempts to flee, hide, or is impaired. Distances: close allows melee and range. Near allows range. Far indicates combatant is out of range. Movement from one zone to the next, so it uses zone movement similar to Modifius 2d20 system. Rest and healing. Every hour of rest restores 1 hit point. Night of full rest restores all the hit points, I guess. Mounts melee attack from mount get -1 to hit, but do an extra point of damage. Range attacks take a -2. So it has mounted combat rules in a 3-page RPG. Okay, Dungeon Awesome. This one's officially awesome. They managed to squeeze mounted combat rules into a 3-page role-playing game. I give them who wrote this? Simian Circle Games by Dirk Stanley. No, props, man. Props. You managed to get mounted combat rules into a 3-page thing. Special combat rules. Battlescar. A PC can stave off death by taking a permanent reminder of their injury that occurred. Battlescar can be mental, physical, or emotional, like a lost limb, phobia, or etc. Shield Breaker. A PC can opt to have their shield destroyed in order to prevent a loss of hit points. That's nice. There's a lot of really good optional rules in this for a 3rd-page thing. Silver. Weapons do double damage to undead creatures. Monsters can give monsters their abilities you see fit. Monsters and Lairs always get 1 +1 to die rolls. You get a difficulty score from monsters equal to the level +7. So monsters basically have a level, and then everything else is derived, plus you get stats. So max monster level is 5. I like how they put that in the second one rather than the first one. They should have put the max monster level is 5 up here, like at the top. Roll 2d6 and add the monster's level when performing actions. Level 1 and 2 monsters have 2 actions. Level 3 and 4 have 3. Level 5 have 4. Okay. And monsters do damage according to their level. Treasure levels range from 1 to 5. Monster's level is equal to its treasure level. Roll 3d6 plus 1d6 per treasure level. Make 3 rolls, keeping and discarding dice in an effort to get at least 3 of a kind. Huh? Add the final total to the similar dice, 3 or more, to determine total gold value. Failure to get at least 3 of a kind results in no treasure. You are out of luck. Go home, sir. For levels 4 encounters, multiply the total by times 2. For level 5, multiply it by times 5. It's not too bad. I'm digging this. For a 3-page RPG, this is not bad. Total treasure amount is valued in gold pieces, although the treasure may consist of items, gems, or other things of value. So they abstract that all out. You got hireling rules. It gives you level times 3 for the day to hire them, wages and costs. So you can actually... The average wage for unskilled labor is about 3 gold per day. It gives you meal costs, mount costs, night at the inn, passage on a ship. So it gives you the tools you need for a basic, like, hireling slash hiring people in town slash living outside the dungeon in a 3-page RPG. And I know, look, the items list is slack. You got 4 types of potion, you got a poison group, and then you get a map builder. So the GM draws the outline, then players take turn adding map locations based on the list below. As the players add map locations, they make notes on their character sheets to how the locations are connected to their PCs. So it's like a group activity to build the dungeon. It's not bad. I gotta admit, that's not a bad system. A 3-page RPG, one of which is nothing but character sheets. And yet they managed to include mounted combat, optional combat rules, and all that. Yeah, that's good. I'll give credit where credit's due. Oh, next one is huge. I don't know if I'm even going to... I'm going to take a look at it. I'm not going to give it a quick rundown. This is Journeyman Anniversary Edition. Journeyman Anniversary Edition is a version of Journeyman. I think it's a 20-year-old role-playing game, and you can tell that it's scanned in from print work here, from Higher Dimension Games. Copyright 2021. Hold on. It looks like they wrote it. My first attempts were little more than notes and some tables banged out on the family typewriter. However, as the years went on, the rules became more developed and fleshed out until I finally had a fully formed RPG. I called it Journeyman. I wrote it on a Commodore 64 and sent the files over a 300 baud dial-up modem connection to a friend's IBM XT PC to lay it out in Ventura Publisher. I remember that. I remember Ventura Publisher. Mostly because my mother was in an ad agency and we had to learn, or she had to learn to use it. I was very young when that was around. I wasn't as young as some people, but I was pretty young. I then laser printed and comb bound a couple of copies to try and pitch it to potential investors. I failed, so with a sigh I set aside and carried on with life. And so fast forward 25 years and came across all the materials gathered during these 2 attempts of bringing Journeyman to life and overcoming them with his nostalgia. I thought it would be fun to put together an anniversary edition. So this is the anniversary edition of a game. A role-playing game. Which was conceived 25 years ago. That would be in, what, the mid-90s? I wasn't that young in the mid-90s. I was like in my teens. This had to have happened over many years because 300 baud is like more like mid-80s. So this few years later is actually more like 10 years later. Making me feel old. Anyway, I'm just going to do a quick, overview because this is 185 pages. It has your introduction. It's got 3 pages of basic mechanics. You got the campaign world listed. It looks like it is a space-based campaign world with technology levels Organizations explained. Character generation. We've got strength, intelligence, willpower, dexterity, constitution, endurance, charisma. So it is a, what is that, 7? 7 stats? I'll breeze through the character generation a little bit. You got various professions, which are the classes. You got your alien races there. You got your skill rules. Oh man, this is a fleshed out system. You've got equipment for various levels. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to breeze through this because it's getting late and I'm falling asleep. And I've still got stuff to do. I've still got like Might and Magic to finish recording. This is Journeyman. And it's really well fleshed out for what is essentially a very basic, like, retro style game. In order to create a greater variety of possibly number spreads, Journeyman uses polyhedral dice, so it does not rely on traditional 6-sided dice. When a text standard shorthand is used, it's basically the ADX something N, where A is the number of dice rolled, X the number of sides each number has. So it's operation plus M. So 3d8 plus 1, 2d12 plus 1, etc. So what is the basic rule? Oh, it's got D3s and D5s. I have D3s and D5s. I bought some for, I think I've got D5s. I know I bought some Zochi dice for, or Zoki dice for DCC RPG. It gives you ways to roll those. Saving throws are a D20 or less. You'll weights and measures. They're used. They use the metric system in here, which I do not mind because it is sci-fi. Kind of fits the setting. Let's breeze through here. You got your campaign setting because they have like a hold on a second. Sorry, I'm getting lost in the weeds here. This is just a description of the types of government they have, kind of tech levels and their descriptions. If you're familiar with like I guess Cepheus, but also basically any sci-fi game will have some sort of tech level involved. Got organizations that you can encounter. I'm just breezing through this because this is a lot to digest. So let's take a look at character creation. Characteristics use 3d6, and there are 7 of them: strength, intelligence, willpower, dexterity, constitution, endurance, and charisma, using 3d6 in any order. Is there like a flat bonus from that? Doesn't look like there's a... It does not look like there's like a standard bonus or penalty layout for this. So it may be because it uses a completely different dice progression. Or a completely different dice resolution system. Character profession is a description of his past. It details some of what he has done up until the beginning of play. Practical professions, those requiring little or no. So is this... All characters have one and only one profession at the start of play. So yeah, it's like a class, but I think it's one of those ones where you can actually change during play, it seems. Some of these are pretty basic, like miners, merchants, that sort of thing. But it is space-based, so... Each one gives you a list of skills that you can get. The academic professions are listed below. You have to have certain intelligence in order to get them. So these are like the elite professions. It's not too bad. Same with military professions. This is not a bad system, but so far, at least I don't know the basic resolution mechanic. I will say this. For an amateur system, Journeyman Anniversary Edition does not look terrible. It looks like it's pretty well fleshed out. I'm not going to spend much more time on it because I'm falling asleep and I've still got a couple things to look through here. I've got artwork of the various creatures that you can run into. Looks like some of this artwork's from '87. Okay. That is a while back, isn't it? Still have artwork from '87 laying around. I guess these are example. This is a sample character. It's not too bad. I'm going to go ahead and close this one out here. This is Journeyman Anniversary Edition. If you want to take a stronger look, it just looks like a... It looks like an early... Looks like it might be a little bit Traveler inspired, but it looks like it may be from before that. Although I know some of the stuff in there, it says, are more recent examples. Next is Modus Operandi. I think this is a spy or a heist game. I'm not sure what it is. I kind of forgot. It's a pay-what-you-want offering. Let's hope it's not terrible. It's 97 pages. Again, I'm not going to be able to go through all the way through it. Yeah, sorry. Modus Operandi is... Fortier Games. Fortiter Games. I know I'm mispronouncing that. Let me take a look at this. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this one. I just want to get a sense for what it is. Modus Operandi is an espionage role-playing game. I knew it was a spy game. In which you play an agent employed by a secret organization working to stop those who would destroy or dominate the world. The default setting for the Modus Operandi is the 1980s, but your games can be set in any decade. Of course, if they're in a modern decade, you're probably working for agents that would dominate the world. One person in your group will be the handler. The handler takes the role of everyone you meet in the game and adjudicates the rules. Although the handler runs the game, you all play together to have fun. So it's an old school game. Uses standard dice. Uses the Imperial system. Turn is 10 minutes. Rounds are 10 seconds. Handler runs the missions. Missions are basically one or more game sessions. Terminology is basically an adaptation of standard terminology, except using spy or using espionage and espionage fiction-based terminology. You got strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution, dexterity, and charisma from 3 to 18, with 18 being the best, so it uses your standard 6. It is an OSR one. The agent's specialty is basically their class. Got levels, experience points. Okay, this is basically OSR system, so I am going to breeze through this pretty quick because it is an OSR system. Alright, once they reach 0 hit points, they're dead. Maximum hit point determined by their hit dice. Movement rate is 120/40, which definitely puts it in the OS. This is an OSR game adapted to espionage. They use defense instead of AC because you're not going to be running around wearing armor in a modern system, modern setting. Although you will, you can. There is modern military armor. You're just probably not going to be wearing it all the time. Make a poor spy if you're running around in full body armor all the time. Attack rolls, just attack to hit. Save and throw values are fortitude, reflex, and willpower. The OSR system is broken because they're using like D20. They're using the 3.x saves, but that's okay. They're not terrible. Simplifies things. So you've got a weapon damage is capped if you're not trained in it. Create an agent. Roll 3d6 adjustability scores. And it uses the 2-for-1 ability score adjustment, just like OSR systems. Attack values are based on your level progression. Alright, defense is base def mod modified by your dexterity score, and as your defense is based on your specialty. I think your damage may be too. Alright. So let's continue onward. You've got your old school bell curve style, where it's like 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 3, then 2, then 1 for the bell curve. It's not too bad. Yeah, this is very, very OSR-y. I kind of like this one. Modus Operandi. Get your languages, except they're modern languages because, of course, it's a spy game. Here's your classes or specialties. Fixer, you get 1d6 hit dice. Armor is standard. Weapons as standard. You get your skills, so your fixer is your thief. You get climb, bypass security systems, hear noise, pick pockets, move silently, hide. Yeah, your special. Your fixer is your thief. You don't get backstab though, do you? No, you get sneak attack. Yes, +4 and double damage, just like fixer is just your OSR thief. Okay. Grifter is probably another rogue. They're masters of disguise, so this is different. They learn new languages. They can con people. They can they use cover identities. That's incredibly useful. They're another rogue class. Operator, wisdom, 1d8. Is this your cleric? Except since there is no cleric, you know, it's whatever. They get a bonus against surprise check that's interesting. Inspiring words. Yeah, this is your cleric. When there's no clerics. You get a +1 bonus. You can inspire allies for 6 turns. You can... Whenever an operator fails an ability check or saving throw that would result in the failure of the mission or their own death, they may re-roll it, so they get like a chance to get out. Soldiers, your fighters, they get 1d8. They're dex-based, though, because, of course, modern weapons. There are field medics, so they can heal. Although, since, of course, there's no spell casting, you know, there's that. Technicians, there's like, not necessarily your mage, because there's no mage. Intercept communication, we use your surveillance. You can use and detect surveillance. That's not bad. Transporter, you can drive. You can be like the transporter. These are nice. These are nice modern versions of classes. That's not bad. There's no strength-based class. They're all dexterity or wisdom or intelligence. That's not bad though. There's your experience, and this is just weapons using your OSR style stuff. I can't really. I could go into this in a full review, but this is just OSR spies. It's nice, and it's nicely put together. Let me take a look. You got your various vehicles and such, and they've got like James Bond style modifications for your vehicles, like oil slicks and smoke screens. This looks like a neat little thing. If you're into that kind of genre. Yeah, Modus Operandi. I like it. I like it. I'm going to skip a lot of this because it's mostly just OSR stuff. It's got rules for everything that an OSR system would. Why is this in its own... Why is this not in my OSR pile? This is very much an OSR system. Yeah, this should have been my OSR system. I have no idea why it's not. Anyway, that was Modus Operandi. I think I'm gonna... Let me take a look. Are there any, like, creature... Is there any, like, creatures? Yeah, there's NPCs, guards, thugs, corporate security. Because you're more likely to encounter human beings when you're a spy. Do they have animals? Yes, they do. Crocodiles, in case, you know, that supervillain decides to put... Or not supervillain, but in case that, you know, evil mastermind decides to throw James Bond into a pool of alligators, then you've got the rules for it. Guard dogs, because of course. That's not bad. That's a neat system. All right, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. I actually kind of recommend that one, Modus Operandi, and it's pay what you want. Again, if you here's like they got an Appendix N with all of the espionage based stuff in it. Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up here. I'm going to wrap this particular product up here. I got one more I'm going to take a look at. Yeah, that was Modus Operandi. The link's already in the chat. Let's look at the last one here. Synthicide, Shapers in the Dark. It's a quick start, which means that it's just like the intro stuff. And I think I got an alert that a new version of this was recently put together. This is a Forged in the Dark game. I gotta be honest, I have not read Forged in the Dark, and I've had it recommended to me like at least 5 times. So I gotta take some time out and try to learn the Blades in the Dark system. And it's right there, bladesinthedark.com. Alright, I'm just going to breeze through it. There's 40 pages here. This is a quick start thing. So what this is Synthicide. I'm liking the art right now. It's a game about a group of daring sci-fi rogues called Sharpers. They build criminal organization to survive as second-class citizens in a galaxy dominated by other criminals, synths, and a church of cybernetically enhanced humans. We play to find out if the fledgling crew can thrive amidst the teeming threats that surround it. Each player creates a character and works with the other players, etc., etc. This is a role-playing game. I'm sure that if you watch this channel, you know what a role-playing game is. I need to do like a basic video sometime that's like really, really like brain-dead basic about what a role-playing game is. Like bottom-of-the-barrel stuff. And release it on like April 1st or something. I need to do a lot of things. I got like 80 different videos I need to do. Oh, man. Sharpers. As most planets are mired in violence and squalor, and independent transient lifestyle is popular among ship owners. However, food and fuel are extremely expensive. Originally called shippers, these drifters were soon associated with organized crime. Now they call sharpers, a negative epithet for space smuggler. I've got synthetics. I got the Tharnaxis Church, which is a group of techno priests, basically. Earth, now known as Terran Altar, is a distant memory of middling importance. Centuries ago, humanity spread throughout the entire galaxy. So, you've got... That's neat. That's some art for you. Uses 6-sided dice. It's a... You roll several at once and read the single highest result, so it's dice pool versus difficulty. Yeah. 4 to 5, that's partial success. 6 is a full success. A 6 on any die. Okay. You ever need to roll, but you have 0 dice, roll 2 dice and take the single lowest result. So basically half a die. Action ratings are 16 actions in this game that the player characters use to overcome obstacles. Each action has a rating of 0 to 4. That tells you how many dice to roll when you perform that action. Okay. Resist. What are these? What are these? Finesse. Resist consequences from dexterous actions. Force. Resist consequences from fights, explosions, gunfights. Insight. Resist consequences from deception. Will. Resist consequences from... Did I miss something here? You're not actually rolling to succeed. You're rolling to not fail. I don't know how I like that. Actually, I mean, it's basically what any roll is. It's just the way that they phrased it. Instead of roll to succeed at something, they're like roll to resist not doing well at something. That's kind of a downer. Gotta have a positive outlook on stuff, man. Editor, your bold slipped. So, and you state your goal, you choose the action rating from any here based on what you've just described, and then you roll it. Once the player chooses their action, the GM sets the position for the roll. The position represents how dangerous it is. You explain, so it basically tells you what you need to do. The GM sets the effect level. That is what you can accomplish. If you manage to resist failing, this is what you can do. I don't know. This is an awkwardly worded system. And I don't know if it's because of this system or if it's a function of the Blades in the Dark system. I have to look at the Blades in the Dark system. Because right now, I'm seeing some awkwardness in how this is written. And I don't know if it's because it's Synthicide or if it's because it's the underlying system. And that's one of the only problems I have, because there are a huge number, well, not a huge number, but there are a growing number of game systems that are putting themselves out to base other things on. Like you got your basic D20, you got your other major publishers coming out saying you can use their systems. But then you've got stuff like, Powered by the Apocalypse and Powered by the Dark or whatever, or Forged in the Dark or whatever. And the underlying systems sometimes have flaws that cannot be overcome by the systems that use them as a base simply because they're part and parcel of the system. And I don't know in this case whether it's just, I'm seeing some weird stuff in here, and I don't know if I think it might be because of the underlying system. So you can add bonus dice or adjust the position by getting assistance from a teammate, or either pushing yourself or accepting a devil's bargain. I don't know what a devil's bargain is. The Synthicide are reckless sharpers addicted to their destructive vices. To reflect this, the GM or any other player can offer you a bonus die or increased effect if you accept a devil's bargain. You can accept collateral damage, unintended harm, sacrifice lurins or an item, betray a friend or loved one, offending or angering a faction, or suffering harm. And this is all narrative stuff. This is all narrative stuff that can be offered by the GM or any other player. So So the GM does have final say over which ones are valid, but like you can be there and like another player can chime in that you can betray a friend or whatever to get a bonus. Man, that's dark. I kind of like that though. It's like one of the awkward rules I've seen so far that I actually kind of like from this system. Okay, then you basically judge the result, and it's got one of those partial success / fail forward type deals, which I don't mind as long as there's some true success rate. as long as there's like a true success and a true failure, I don't mind systems that also have a fail forward system. I just do like to have some sort of fail state. Not necessarily always based on dice, but some sort of fail state, so that, because if players can never fail, then they will inevitably take advantage of that. Alright, so this is basically tells the, because this is a quick start, basically just tells the DM or the GM how to deal with stuff. Why is there's a clock? Wait, what? Progress clocks. Okay. So I guess you just knock off one of these sections each round. I don't know. This has a lot of stuff in it that I really kind of need to read. It's not one of those systems, because it is so different from what I'm used to. It's not one of those systems where I'm getting like a real good, sense of what it is just right off the bat. So I'm kind of blowing through this real quick. This seems a little bit complex. It's like you gotta, let me take a look at, let me go all the way down here, because this does have like its own internal thing. Where's the player sheets? Where's the character sheets? Do I not have a character sheet in here? I don't have a character sheet in here. Ah! Let me see if the site has one. This is the last one I'm doing tonight, so I may as well. This one's free. It's not pay what you want. It's free because it is like a first look kind of thing. But does it have character sheets available? Yes, it does. It's got playbooks and other style sheets. Let me download it real quick. Let me go ahead and copy it over so I can pop it open. All right. Yeah, this is like a complex character. I figured the character sheet would look something like this. This is interesting. Wait a minute. What am I looking at? I'm assuming that these are like pre-made things here. Yeah, these are pre-made things here. So anytime that you create a character, because this is, as I said, this is just a quick starter. It's just to give you a sense of the system. So you've got finesse. These are the things that you would roll against. Finesse, force, insight, and will on one side. Here's your loadout. So this is basically your gear. Although it looks like everybody's got the same set of gear and unique items. You got harm. You can actually suffer harm in combat. Ouch! A pronouns bit in here. Yeah, that makes you want to slap somebody. Yeah, this is just too complex, man. For like just for what it's trying to do, it's just a goofy system. I saw that ship, like the ship sheet, and I was like, please let the ship have a pronouns entry. Because I would have laughed all night, but it doesn't, so I'll give it that. I don't know. I don't know about Synthicide. It's got some neat art. I'm loving this art here. I'm loving the art and the approach. The actual system itself. Oh, hey, yeah, it's been a long time, and yeah, I'm glad to see that you're still around. No, I stream every so often. Tonight, I'm wrapping this up soon. This has been like a quick look at pay what you want / free role-playing games. Like every month or so, I gather together like a bunch of tabletop role-playing games and just look through them on the stream and give my thoughts. This one's like complex. I'm not sure I like this one, and I'm not sure... In fact, I'm pretty sure I don't like this one. Just from the... But I think it's more because of the base game. Like, the system itself. I don't think I like Forged in the Dark. I don't think I like Forged in the Dark because it's a little bit... it's a little bit on the squirrely narrative side for me, and I'm not a big fan of that. But yeah, every month or so, like what I'm trying to do is every Thursday I'll go ahead and try and play a role-playing game or role-playing game-like thing. Like last week I did, Alchemy Emporium or whatever. Or I'll do like an indie or an early access role-playing game, kind of give my thoughts on it. And then I don't get to it every Thursday, but I'm trying to. And then... every month, sometimes month and a half, depending on how far they come out, I take a look at these pay what you want or free role-playing games and do a quick run. I've been streaming for like... How long has this stream been going? It's been going since like, 8? 9? Something like that? Oh yeah, well I'm on... You know where to find me. I'm on... You know where to find me. Man, just come on sometime. You know where to find me. No, but it's real good seeing that you're still around. Yeah, I think I'm about done with this stream because I've covered everything tonight. I've done like a dozen... Yeah, I've done about a dozen role-playing games / role-playing game accessories tonight. Yeah, I don't do these streams like even every week in terms of the tabletop role-playing game stuff. I try very hard to come up with interesting ones, but sometimes you got hit or miss. Like tonight's winners, if I had to pick winners from all the stuff I covered tonight, let me take a look. The Blood Battles was funny. It's Mortal Kombat in 5th edition. That was the first thing I covered tonight. The Cycle was interesting. That was the death alternative for 5th edition. I thought that was interesting. I started out not liking it, and then I kind of switched over to liking it. For once, almost none of the OSR stuff that I picked really stood out to me. But Modus Operandi I liked. That was the OSR spy game. And I liked Dungeon Awesome, because it was a 3-page role-playing game where they actually managed to get a lot of rules in. So if I had to pick winners tonight, those were my 4 winners out of the entire thing. Synthicide, I think Synthicide suffers from the Forged in the Dark system. I'm not from the Blades in the Dark system. I need to read the Blades in the Dark system because so far I've covered 3 games. I've covered 3 games based on Blades in the Dark, and I have not liked any of them. And I strongly suspect that it's like a problem with Blades in the Dark itself. And I can't put my finger on it. I can't put my finger... It's like... What's another one that I'm not a big fan of? This is hard because I like a lot of role-playing games. I'm not a huge fan of Dungeon World / Apocalypse World. But I know why I'm not a huge fan of that one is because it's a little bit too open narrative for my taste. So that's another one where I'm not a huge fan of it. But I've noticed that in that one, it's like because I know why I'm not a huge fan of it, I can tell like I can still make an evaluation of games based on it, because I already know to factor in that I don't like the open narrative portion of it, so I can make a better judgment call on the rest. So I think my problem with the Blades in the Dark stuff, I need to look at Blades in the Dark. I need to look at Blades in the Dark. What's another one that I don't like? And I know that I've stated a couple of them. What? Do I have any on my shelf that I don't like besides 5th edition? I'm sorry, I'm No, I think I like most of the stuff I have. I mean, not necessarily like it all, but I mean, I'm at least ambivalent to it. Like Rebirth, I covered that years ago. That one is okay. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I don't dislike it. Ankur, really interesting system, but the Ancient Aliens thing kind of like ruined it for me, because I look at their model of the solar system and I'm like, and here's the thing, I'm actually a fan of Ancient Aliens type stuff, but I looked at their model of the solar system in Ankur and I was just like, my brain said orbital mechanics do not work that way, and I just could never get over it. Beautiful art though in that system, and a lot of writing. I think they've got like two or three expansions for it out. But yeah, I should put together a list of ones that I just can't get my head around. Anyway, I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. For those who watch, I've got my Let's Plays still going. I'm gonna have to put them up next week. I'm gonna have to continue them next week, just because I kept getting called away this week. And those of you who have been watching, and I don't have a lot of, I know a lot of people are on the stream right now, but I usually these usually get like 100 views or something, at least 100 views after the fact. So I know that people will be watching, and I know that this is like the one way to tell people. Basically, those of you who have been following me for several years, or for years now, because I've been streaming since, or I'm not streaming, but I've been doing YouTube since like 2016. Actually, a little bit before that. I think it was like 2015 or 2014. Wow. Okay, yeah, I'm getting up there. Summers usually just kick my butt. And there's nothing on paper. Like, there's nothing on paper that says why I should have slower output during summer. And yet, everything just happens in summer. Like, I'll set aside time to work, and then just everything comes out of the woodwork to happen during summer. So every single summer, for my entire time of doing YouTube, my production in summer has just taken a nosedive. And like, I don't know if it was last year or it might have been the year before last, I didn't recover until almost spring. but usually it's like it takes a dive during summer and it comes back up. I will try to get back on the Let's Play stuff ASAP. I will have some stuff out by next week for sure, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep that up. I've got Fallout 2 on the main channel with the restoration patch still going. And I've got Might and Magic World of Zine on the secondary channel, still going. I'm loving them. I just need to be able to sit down and record them. My next review is going, my next tabletop review, I've got it up for my patrons to decide on. It will either be Cepheus Lite, which is a light version of the Cepheus engine, which is used, I believe, by Traveler. And it's like an OSR version of Traveler, from what I understand. I haven't played Traveler very much. I've made characters for it, but I've never actually got to play it, so that's going to be an interesting system. My other option is Swords of Cepheus, which is by the same person, but it's a sword and sorcery version RPG using the Cepheus engine. And then I've got Maximum Mayhem Dungeons number 5. So I I will be reviewing all 3 of them, but which one comes next is up to my patron supporters and members. So I've already got the questionnaires out for those, and then I will narrow it down. And it'll probably be like 2 weeks before I can get to it, because, as I said, I've not used the Cepheus system. So I will be needing to read that one in depth to make sure that I understand it. And that's a lot of the reason why it takes me so long to do the more in-depth role-playing game reviews. Because sitting here and talking about something like on the fly real quick, that's one thing. But if I'm doing a full video, I want to be sure that I understand the system. So it does take me a while to do it. Indie Game Friday, I'm going to be hit or miss on that for a little while, but I don't know. It gets decent views, but it's just like, I don't know. Lately, it's just been kind of hit or miss on who views it. But I'll be continuing that, though. I think I'll be able to get it this week. I don't know. I may be able to get one out this week, or I may just take it off and try to do some Let's Play stuff. And RPG News Roundup as always. I've got a new set for RPG News Roundup, but I haven't been able to use it yet. And I need to get some more graphics. Maybe start cleaning up my act on the RPG News Roundup, because I've been doing that one since 2016, and it's been basically the same format. I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you all who watched me tonight. Thank you for your continued viewership and support. I know that one phrase in my last review, a single phrase in my last review, has cost me at least one viewer. But if that phrase cost me a viewer, I don't know if I really wanted it in the first place. But I appreciate everybody who's continued to watch me. I'm going to continue to try to bring upfront, very fair, very even-handed reviews and other commentary. And I'm going to try to continue forward with that. This has been the RPG Crawler. If you like what you've seen, remember to leave a like, comment if you got any feedback, and subscribe for more RPG content. Both computer and occasionally tabletop. Until next time, take care and goodbye. Oh, man.